If your music crushes, it doesn't matter what you look like. If you are an amazing producer and you make good music, like that kind of supersedes like all the superficial stuff.
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
But from my perspective, right, like I'm always hanging out on like the Reddit for DJs.
Yeah.
It always seems like everyone can just randomly get a gig somewhere. Whereas in Singapore, it's like really hard to just get one gig somewhere.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started filming, and I think in the US market, we have so many people, so many towns, so many cities, and even within one city, so many different nightclubs, so many different promoters. And so just by virtue of there being such a high volume, there's a place for a lot more artists. Whereas, you know, a city-state like Singapore, I mean, it's just like you guys were saying before we started filming as well, there's only 3 clubs, 4 clubs. It's like that's a very small pool for everyone to be fighting over.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a popularity contest or, you know, nepotism, like who do you know?
Oh,
Yes.
So it's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah. It's kind of tiring because like if you're not playing at clubs, like those are the 3 big clubs, but there are like maybe only 10, 15 smaller like clubs that are like
they might not even be called clubs. They might be classified as bars already.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then the rest is all just filled with like siam tius and like dingy clubs that just hire people to.
Do you know what siam tiu is?
I do because Jasper's explained it to me. It's a Thai disco.
Yeah,
you know, they play like more like, you know,
If you want to
Thai
experience one, you
music.
can go downstairs.
No, the funny thing is I was like asking Thai people, do you know what siam tiu is, Thai disco? They were like, because I went to Thailand and I did a podcast with a bunch of Thai DJs. Then like, what? And then we came back, we did some AAR, right? After action review, right? We were like, oh yeah, it's not called Thai disco there, it's just called disco.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't end up in like one of the 10 different clubs that has they're not dingy, you're just working for like those like these super dingy clubs with like no names, bars with no names. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the longer I DJ, the more I've been like, you know, promoter and all that, the more I realize like the venue is so important. Like it is all about the venue. Like you need to have a place. You need to have a place where people are allowed to, you know, have like the loud music and the lights and like the whole production, right? And if you don't have that kind of like home, either like a nightclub, and you can't create like a warehouse and do it, then you're screwed, you know? See, and in the US, we have the advantage of both. Like there's plenty of nightclubs to choose from. And then if you also want to go and take a warehouse space and turn it into like a, you know, like a production, you can do that too. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's like the warehouse scene, or is there any warehouse scene?
So I tried to do this.
Let them know.
So basically, warehouses in Singapore hate people doing that.
Right.
So space is such a commodity. It's such a precious commodity
Yeah.
that people are not going to let like some random dude own a giant warehouse space for like a few $100s a month to run an event.
Yeah.
They're charging like thousands just for like a really small space. So there's no way I can rent a warehouse to just run events. Neither are warehouses willing to rent me for just one night,
Right.
just to run my own event. And there's also the whole complicated matter of like your entertainment license and everything.
Right.
So I can't just grab a bunch of speakers, a bunch of friends, lights, go down to a warehouse that has nobody and then just throw an entire rave. The cops are just going to show up and tell us to get out because you don't have the license. Yeah. And there are a lot of actually empty warehouses in Singapore. It's just that they won't let you do it.
Yeah.
And because exactly what you say, space is such a commodity, right? Meaning everything is very close together. That means the warehouse and surrounded by all HDB flats, you know, like
yes.
Right, yeah.
or condos or whatever. And that's the reason why Zouk at Chia Kim got like evicted, right? Because like the hotel is complaining, people fighting, people vomiting. And Zouk at Chia Kim, the original mega club of Singapore, right, it's like there for like 30 years or something before it's forced to move by the government.